We're holding in the Hakdama Vayol Moshe on page Yud Aleph in the paragraph that starts V'inyan, and we're in the middle of the paragraph. We're like halfway down. The line starts the word Brurim, and we're by the word V'hinei Zeh. So what he's talking about here is the Inyan that the Tzionim say that the Shalosh Shvuos is not halacha because it's not brought down in the Poskim. So in the last paragraph he dealt with that already. He said that the Poskim don't bring halachas that aren't so commonly applied today. Okay. Now he's going to speak about another time.
One of the exceptions was the Rambam.
Right. Well, the Rambam he's going to have to deal with that in the body of the Sefer.
So it's not really a question on the other Poskim. The other Poskim only brought halachas which are dealt with in their time.
Now he's going to deal with the question that a lot of Tzionim say that the Shalosh Shvuos is aggadah. That's the one you hear pretty often, right?
But again, why?
The aggadah sugya is not halacha.
But again,
V'hinei zeh vadai. This is for sure. She'elu hashvuos hema halachas kvuos b'li shum cholik. That the shvuos are not aggadah. They're halacha, and they have there's no disagreement about them. Shaharei Rav Yehuda b'soif ksuvos shechidesh es halacha shaf yachid aser la'alois. Rav Yehuda is the one who says that even a single individual is not allowed to go to Eretz Yisrael. It's not just the din of Aliyah b'Chayma, but it's everybody. Even a single individual can't go up to Eretz Yisrael. So Lamdoi, he learns it out Me'ela Shvuos. He learns it out from the Shalosh Shvuos. And the Gemara says that Reb Zera learns it for the Rabbim, and Reb Yehuda learns it for the Yachid.
Reb Yehuda.
Yeah, Rab Yehuda, not Reb Yehuda. For Reb Zera shechalak al Reb Yehuda. Reb Zera, who disagrees, and he himself went up to Eretz Yisrael by halacha zu. Tarchu sham b'Gemara liyashev u'lefarish hashvuos gam al libei. The Gemara goes and spends time trying to answer up how the shvuos could make sense according to Reb Zera, even though he holds that a single individual is allowed to go, but he holds that the rabbim are not allowed to go. Alma, we see from this that the Gemara didn't feel that it was a possibility to say that Reb Zera just argues. The Gemara has to explain that Reb Zera explains the shvuos differently. So you see it's a halacha, and number two, you see that everyone agrees. Everyone agrees about them. The Hilchas Rabbis knew that they're very important halachas, and they have a terrible punishment for violating them. It's a punishment that you don't find for any other aveir in the Torah. So take a look in page 1 here. I have from Rabbi Aviner's Sefer Shelo Ya'aleh B'Choyma, where he has the 13 reasons why he disagrees with the Satmar Rebbe's Shalosh Shvuos. Yeah. So here number 12 is Hachoyma hu inyan aggadah v'lo halacha. This is the famous Tanya. So he brings it from Rav Tzvi Yehuda, and then he says Haloi galu yubarahu Ramban. He says the Ramban knew the Shalosh Shvuos, and despite that, the Ramban in Sefer Mitzvahs brings his mitzvah to go there to Yisrael, and he doesn't mention anything about the Shalosh Shvuos. So
he doesn't say for Gula.
He does. Obviously, from this Ramban, where he's talking about halacha, he doesn't mention the Shalosh Shvuos because he held that it's a
But the Ramban was listing mitzvah. When you list mitzvah, it doesn't say l'maisa. Because listing mitzvah doesn't mean it's l'maisa.
It does. What do you mean? Mitzvah is l'maisa.
No, but didn't the Ramban list mitzvah like the Rambam did? Mitzvah.
Well, he didn't do all of them, but he went and he filled in the ones that he held the Rambam didn't put in.
No, but you still could be close and say that there was a mitzvah in that time, which is Nana Manazeh, which should be counted.
Well, but the Ramban says beferish there is no Gebi's Manazeh. That's the difference. But the pshat is that the Ramban doesn't say that
but living doesn't mean conquering.
Right, exactly. The Ramban says there's a chiluk. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, Ramban says the mitzvah was to conquer it, and he says now it's a mitzvah that kol echad v'echad meitanu is chayav to do it. We're going to see Mir Tashem, Maimer Yishuv Eretz Yisrael.
And also,
and then he says the second right here, the Rambam in the Yigeres Teiman says Hishbiya ha'uma al derech mashal.
That's a funny raya.
So the raya is, you see that it's only a mashal, it's just an aggadah, it doesn't matter.
That's a funny one.
Yeah, well now...
Except Yigeres Teiman was reading what to do with mice in the situation, so it's a very silly argument.
It's halacha tshuva. And secondly, al derech mashal is because Shir Shirim is a mashal.
Of course.
Shir Shirim is a mashal.
The whole thing is a mashal.
And third, the Rebbe is going to speak in Vayol Moshe about what these words derech mashal mean. And he's going to say that it means that the Shalosh Shvuos are just hagdil ha'onish, just to make the onish greater, but the aveir was already there before. Okay, now Avnei Nezer, he quotes over here that the Avnei Nezer says a lashon of aggadah, kitali b'divrei aggadah b'gemara medrash shir. Okay, so again, the Avnei Nezer, if you look at there, he does explain the shalosh shvuos in a very serious way, and he says that if you violate them, you get cut off from the hashgacha. And then he says, "V'chein pnei Yeshua aggadas chaluk leisein." The pnei Yeshua calls it aggadah, and he says it's a machlokes. We're going to get to that in a second, Mirz Hashem. The other thing that I wanted to show you here is that if you turn to page 2 in the sheets here, I have the Yerushalmi Peah. The whole source for this idea that we don't paskin halacha from aggadah, even if the shalosh shvuos is aggadah. First of all, the Rebbe proves that it's not. But even if it was aggadah, take a look at this Yerushalmi. Ein lameidim loy min halachas v'loy min haggadas.
Wait.
It's highlighted here on page 2, here in the middle of the Gemara, Yerushalmi Gemara. Ein lameidim. We don't learn out halacha. Loy min halachas v'loy min haggadas. We don't learn from halacha when the Gemara says halacha kedivrei ploni. When the Mishnah says rather halacha kedivrei ploni, halacha k'Reb Meir, halacha k'Reb Yehuda, we don't paskin like that because it could be that the Amoraim researched it more and decided to paskin differently. V'loy min haggadas. We don't learn from aggadah. This is that famous thing. Okay, v'loy min ha'toisves, not from the Tosefta. El min ha'Talmud, only from the Gemara.
And the Gemara Bava is a Talmud.
Yeah. Now, take a look in the Pnei Moshe. Ein l'meidim halacha l'maisa davar min davar v'lo min halacha shutz k'bein halacha l'Moshe miSinai. Ein l'meidim min halacha zu l'damas l'davar acher. He learns differently. You can't learn out from halacha Moshe miSinai from one thing to another. You can't compare things. V'lo mimash huzkar ba'aggadas. We can't learn out from what's mentioned in aggadah. V'lo min ha'toiseftus el min ha'Talmud, only from the Talmud. Why? Lefi she'ha'amoraim she'v'Talmud hein shabiru halacha l'maisa mitoich pilpulam. They're the ones who establish what the halacha is. So, what I want to show you from this is that it's not a din that you don't learn from the aggadah in the Gemara. It's a din that you don't learn from other svarim besides the Gemara, like the Medrash Rabbah, other Midrashim, Tanchuma, because the Gemara is the place where the Amoraim sat and they were mevar everything and they came out with a conclusion. But if you found an aggadah in Shas, in the Gemara, Talmud Bavli, then you do paskin like it. So that's the mistake that these Zionists are making.
And also, the Rambam did bring...
on page 3 here, I have a page from Or Kitoy by Meir Weinberger, Pirshan V'Yom Moshe, and he brings down another 3 arguments here. He says, first of all, in this footnote here, he says, first of all, it's true that this is a Yerushalmi and Peah that says that you don't learn out from aggadah, but that means aggadah as opposed to Talmud Bavli. But then he says also, in the number base, he says that even when we talk about this klal of not learning from the Medrash, that's only when there are 2 opinions in the Gemara and the Gemara doesn't decide, and then you have a Medrash that comes down on one side, so we don't paskin based on that Medrash. But let's say you have a Medrash that says a halacha that's not mentioned anywhere else. Then maybe you do paskin like it. And then he says in number Gimel, he says that Rabbi Shai Pick holds that even when you have a machlokes and then you have a aggadah that's machriya the machlokes, you go like that. It's just that you don't go against something else, a psak halacha in the Gemara. But if you have no psak halacha in the Gemara, you could go like the aggadah.
I would just like to point out...
I want to say one more thing, and if you check through Shas and you see all the aggadahs that come out with halacha l'maisa, you'll see that the Rambam does indeed bring them all down, and the Shulchan Aruch does too. If you check, you'll see.
I'd like to actually point out that...
Okay, now the second thing I want to show here is that the Rebbe says here that there's no machlokes about the shalosh shvuos. Kuli alma moedi b'hu. Because you see the Gemara was matriach itself to answer up according to Reb Zeir, what he would do with the pasuk. So you see that everyone agrees. So again, they came up with an argument here. Take a look, page 4. This is Raviner Sefer again. He says, "Inyan ha'chayma shani b'machlokes b'Gemara." He says there's a machlokes about this inyan of the shalosh shvuos.
Wow, that's a smart...
What's the machlokes?
I was going to ask for this one.
So he says in Yumadaf Testament base, there's a story there, Reish Lakish.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. Just let me say it. And so Rabbi Baruch gave him his hand, and Reish Lakish said to him, "I hate you because you Babylonians didn't come up in the time of Ezra. If you would have come up in the time of Ezra, kechayma, like a wall altogether, then you would have been like silver that doesn't rot. But now that you came up half and half, now it's not going to happen." So he says, the Pnei Yeshua on Ksubas, page 5 here, says that it's a machlokes. Because the Pnei Yeshua learns like this. The Pnei Yeshua asks a few questions here on the Gemara Ksubas. He says, first of all, Tosfos asks a very simple question. It says that Bavela yuvau v'shama yiyu. They'll be brought to Bavel, and that's where they'll be. What do you mean? In Galus Bayis Sheni, which is where we're talking about, Rav Yehuda and Rav Zeir were after Bayis Sheni. So they weren't in Bavel; they were in the whole world. Okay, there were Yidden in Bavel too, but there were Yidden everywhere. So what's that Pistavka Bavel? And also he asks that and Tosfos says it, but Tosfos says that who didn't Bayis Sheni. But the question is, what do you mean? What about the rest of the world? Why Davka Bavel? And he asked a few more questions here. Basically what he says is like this. He says the Shalosh Shvuos was said by Bayis Rishon time. When they went into Galus and Bavel, they had to stay in Bavel. And even when 40,000 Yidden came up with Ezra, so they came up, in Chanami they came up, but the rest of them stayed in Bavel. So when there was a Galus Sheni, at the end of Bayis Sheni, those Yidden in Bavel were still there. So the Shalosh Shvuos was chal on them. And it was chal on them forever. Until Mashiach comes. Now, he says, what about the story with Rish Lakish and Yuma? So he says that is a machlokes. Aggadah is chalukah saying ve'ein laharich. Kitzer. So that's where they take out from that there must be a machlokes in the Shalosh Shvuos.
Yeah. So what's the answer?
But this Rish Lakish is only arguing on the Shalosh Shvuos as they applied to Bayis Rishon times. And when there was a pekida of Koresh to come back, he held that all the Yidden should have come back at that time. It wasn't just for 40,000 people. However, the Shalosh Shvuos is still Negeya when there's no Pekida. When you're in Galus and there's no one calling you back, there's no Nevuah from Hashem to come back.
But are you the Zionism with the Pekida? The Zionism with the Pekida.
Well, but there's no Nevuah to say that it is. There's no proof that it is. So you can't just...
Pekida?
The Pekida is like a divine remembrance. When Hashem comes, it sends a message to come back to Eretz Yisrael. Which happened, right? First of all, Hashem told Yirmiyah Navi the 70 years of Galus.
Yeah. And
it was up. And also, Koresh... he had Nevi'im at the time of Koresh, Chagai, Zechariah, and Malachi, who said to come back. So because of that, that's called that Hashem called them back. Hashem can be Zman Azeh, we don't have Nevi'im.
Why don't you say just one thing?
Okay, v'lachein nasati el libi. That's why I decided lahalois al gilyon to make a sefer now, bir sugyazu, to explain this subject. B'chol pratel, b'chol amistayf binyan medina zu, with all the details of the subject and anything that's relating to the state of Israel. And joining it, becoming a part of the Knesset, and also the issue of voting in their elections, and all the halachas that result from this with an honest evaluation of the Torah.